Welcome to the Access to Inspiration podcast, where you can be inspired by people who may be unlike you. You know, listener, that we always like bringing you guest hosts, people who've been guests on the podcast already, coming back with their recommended guest. And today we have Manuela Gil, who was a guest of ours in episode 73. And she is introducing us to Maritza Lopez, also from Colombia. And remember, you can read a transcription of this episode as you listen at our website, accesstoinspiration.org. Welcome back, Manuela, first of all. And maybe you can tell us what you think makes Maritza inspiring.
Yes. Thank you, Sue, for inviting me to be here and also to invite Maritza. I'm very happy to be here. I thought about Maritza and inviting her to the podcast because I see Maritza sees life in a great way. She sees her work as an evolution of her spiritual being. And I think this makes very special what she does. Her career was in the corporate world in Colombia for a lot of years. And since few years, she is an entrepreneur. She is a shareholder and the CEO of a company called MyEcoHome, and she's working in regenerating the earth.
Welcome, Maritza, to the podcast. Lovely to have you here. And I'll hand you over to Manuela to take it from here.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit more, Maritza, about what you do?
Hi, Manuela and Sue. Thank you for having me here. Well, you put it in big words, regenerating the earth. It's big, it's huge. Our dream is to have products that are clean and good for every human being and every ecosystem. So basically, what we do is to research in Colombian forest to have bioproducts that can convert in ingredients for many industries as pharmaceuticals and cosmetic industries. Then we can extract bioproducts from forest and to have it in many, many uses.
Maritza, what is the meaning of a productive forest?
That's tough. Forest is very romantic and very poetic because when you, as a person in a city, imagine the forest, you see something green and something beautiful and something full of birds. But when you are near the forest, maybe it's not as poetic as you imagine, because if you don't know how to plant and to have productive cultures from the forest is not something that is beautiful, but something that is annoying for you. Right now, the efforts in reforestation have been in financing to planting trees. But as we see right now, it's not just a matter of planting trees, it's a matter of maintaining the forest. Because if you plant the trees, but you go, the thing that will be occurring is that people around will cut the trees and start again the monocultures or the cattle ranching, because that's the way they know to produce money from the lands. So what we are trying to make is very different, and is to create value from forest, to create incentives for landowners to preserve the forest. Because if we don't create those incentives, all the money that you put planting trees will disappear, because the economy around the land will push those landowners to cut the trees and to start again the monocultures in the past uses. So our dream is to have productive forests that have obviously the richness of biodiversity and the richness of water, the richness of animals, and all of the forest is for us, but also that has trees and uses that are productive for land users, in order to create incentives for the forest to be here for all the generations. So productive forests are forests that are romantic, poetic, but also economical, viable.
That sounds so nice. Why did you move from a corporate role into now having a company?
It was very personal. I was 40 and I had quit my job in that time, and I was very sad, and it was in a tough moment. It was in the middle of a crisis. I didn't know if I wanted to come back to my previous career in my previous corporation or not. And then a good friend of mine told me, don't accept any job after you respond this simple question. And the question was, what do you want to left to this planet, to this world when you passed? And I was surprised about the question, not because it was difficult, but it was because I didn't have the answer. So, answering that question led me to understand that I profoundly needed to let something to the planet, to let something to my daughter and to the future generations. And I understood that I needed to be part of something bigger, not in size, but in meaning. I decided to create a company that means for the planet from the core business. So my 100% of my energy right now is basically trying to make this planet better. So I move to create value for future generations within my own dream company.
Could you tell us a bit more about the work that you do and what is your company about?
Yeah, my company, it's about understanding the forest in Colombia. Colombia has 8 different ecosystems. I don't know if you know this fact, but Colombia is the most biodiverse place in the planet. And our economy has growth on the back of that richness. So we have 8 ecosystems, and the most degraded ecosystem is the tropical dry forest. So we try to understand the tropical dry forest in order to develop bio-based products to sell to the world. So we are researching from this particular tree that is called sopnat tree. Then we know how to produce extracts that we can use in many industries as pharmaceutical and also cosmetics, care. And we are trying to develop ingredients that incentives the regeneration of the tropical dry forest, but also that can be used in many, many applications around many industries in the world.
This is sounding fascinating to me. And I'm wondering, what was your professional background, Maritza, or your experience? Did you live in the forest? Had you a biology degree? What gave you an understanding to focus on this particular area?
I'm a manager, I'm a CEO. I'm not a biologist, I'm just a manager. But as a person, I'm vegetarian. I've been taking care of my own forest for the past 15 years. In this particular period of my life, I'm trying to integrate not just what I am and what I learn as a professional, but what I am as a person. The co founders of MyEcoHome have this legacy of scientific researching from the forest. So I'm basically trying to escalate the company, and they are putting this scientific knowledge within the company.
I really admire the work that you are doing, and I have been learning a lot about you and EcoHome. Could you explain us a bit more about how does the business work? Which processes are involved in working in the forest, but also creating the bioproducts?
We're working in 3 main areas. The first one is the supply chain. We're trying to create a community, local based, and regenerative supply chain. We are working in field, trying to convince local farmers to convert monocultures and diverse agroforestry cultures in order to preserve the tropical dry forest. Right now, we have like 3,000 trees planted with almost 200 families, and we are trying to make a supply chain of 400,000 trees with almost 3,000 families. If we succeed in this dream we will be the tool for the tropical dry forest to reappear, because with these 400,000 new trees of Sapindo saponaria or sopna tree, we will have 2% more of this ecosystem in Colombia. So it will be huge in environmental impact here. The second area that we are working on is the scientific and researching process. We are working with 3 different universities here in Colombia, trying to understand the forest, the trees, and the functionalities to extract those functionalities and to stabilize those functionalities to convert it in extracts we can export and we can present to many industries. So we have now two different versions of sapindus or sopnat extract ready to be approved for applications in cosmetics and pharmaceuticals because we are researching in some disease that is tough for the underdeveloped world that is called leishmania. So we have applications in leishmania treatment, and also we have applications in cosmetics and other functionalities. And the third area we are working in is the market. We are trying to develop markets. Here in Colombia, we don't have the market for this kind of products because these products are a little bit expensive than the ones that are used in our industries locally. So we are trying to expand our research to other markets more sophisticated that can see the value in our ingredient and to try to get our ingredients overseas. We have cooperation from England to expand our supply chain because the government of UK see that we are working to preserve an ecosystem that is very, very important for the planet.
So, Maritza, that also MyEcoHome is already using the extract of the sapnap tree for some products in Colombia. And I think that's very valuable because what you are doing there is taking care of the water. And I would like that you can tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, we are working in three areas, but we are developing two different businesses. One business is our most mature business, is B2C business here in Colombia. We make home care products based on sopnat tree extract. We have this line of detergent, dishwashers, and the whole portfolio for home care products based on this technology that we have developed from the Sopna tree. This B2C business is the most mature business we have, and it's very important not just because of the impact in the water, because this portfolio it's 100% biodegradable, and also it's very, I like to say it's lovely with water. It will not damage any being, not human beings, not water, not the ecosystems. But for EcoHome, this B2C portfolio, it's very important because we can prove that we have an ingredient that is able to be part of formulas now in home care applications, but then we can put it in cosmetics application or other applications. So this home care portfolio is like the proof that we can deliver to have extracts that are ready to use in some other industries. So for us, it's like the start of the history.
And if you're enjoying this episode, you might also like to listen to episode 73, where our host today, Manuela Gil, talked about how to engage others through purposeful leadership. You'll find more than 120 episodes in our back catalogue on subjects ranging from business and sports to the arts and social change. Just hop on over to accesstoinspiration.org to discover them all.
Mari, could you share us some of the challenges that were for you most important and how you have been able to overcome them?
Well, there are a lot of challenges when you are an entrepreneur. I think the main challenge for me now is embracing the scarcity. Because when you are trying to create something from scratch, as I'm trying to do, because this ecosystem is very unknown from the scientific purposes. This tree where we extract the sopnat extract is not known as a productive tree. And also, this sopnat extract is not developed as a commercial ingredient. So everything is new. But also, my company is small and my resources are not big. So it's like embracing and enjoying the scarcity, understanding that every day has a challenge, but every day has the gift of learning something. So I think that's the big challenge. In speaking about business, the researching skills and investment, it's quite difficult because you put some money, but you don't know if you will deliver the results that you need in the market. We are in a very important moment in our company right now because we have the supply chain today. We have the research capabilities. We also have extracts that are proven to work in different applications. And then we are about to scale up our production capabilities in order to go for the markets around the world. But for that, we need to make investments. And we are looking right now for new investors. We are trying to have like 1.2 million US dollars. That's not a lot, but for us, it means to go to the next level as a company. If I go faster than the nature, then I will not succeed. So my time is the nature's time. But the market has other rhythms. So it's quite difficult. But I think we are trying to understand and to balance the rhythm of the market, the rhythm of the clients, and also the rhythm of the nature and the trees and the communities, and try to balance and to embrace it. I think bioeconomy has this challenge because you need to put money and resources, but you are not sure about the outcomes. I think the world is and the financial actors are understanding how to balance risk in order to put some investment in these new economies that are called bioeconomy. So there's a lot of challenges, some specifics, some more profound and less concrete.
So, given Maritza, what you're saying is you're learning about balancing those different rhythms, finding your way forward amidst scarcity. Do you ever wake up and think, oh, it would just be easier to be back in a corporate, not have all these challenges? Does that ever cross your mind?
Many times, many times. I'm about to quit every day, but I'm learning. I'm learning to face it. I think that what I'm trying to do is to live my life despite everything. So I'm living every day. So I promise myself to start the day with 100% optimistic energy. If you talk with me 6 a.m., you will have optimistic Maritza, capable to do everything. And maybe at 8 p.m., I will be full of doubt and thinking about going back to my previous work. But every day is easier. When I close my eyes and I think about my life, what is difficult to accept for me is to not try to live my life and to just be focused in some success that is not mine. So it's difficult, it's challenging, but I'm trying to make it in my own path.
Thank you for sharing that. And could you tell us a bit more? You see that work is part of your life and it means for you a spiritual evolution. So when you talk always about that, I am like, oh, I'm very happy hearing that always.
I'm not sure if my English is good enough to explain it, but I will do my best. I think human beings are here for more than to have some money or to understand some sophisticated things about some career. I think we are here to evolve in something that is deep inside of us, something that could be called a spiritual way. And if you see your everyday life, work, it's a huge part of your everyday life. In an average person, work is more than half of their lives. So imagine if you don't connect this half of your life with the thing that put you here, because the reason is to evolve. So you need to connect it. That's why when I was 40, I said, okay, I'm going to change it. I'm very grateful with my experience in my professional career, but I need to connect everything that I am as a person with what I work in my everyday life. So for me, this conversation or the problems we have in a company, everything is connected with this thing that I'm here for. That is my spiritual evolution. So what I do when I'm buying something to the business, what I do when I'm trying to make a business or to have a client overseas, what I do when I'm trying to convince some farmer to be part of our network is part of my spiritual evolution. And I think it's part of their spiritual evolution too. And that is connected again with this mission to have a good company. Because if we see as beings that are evolving, this creation from us, that is the company, has to be good and has to be part as a tool to evolve. So, yes, for me, working is my hobby. I love to work. Manuela knows I love to work. I'm proud of it. I love to work. And also, I think I try to work being coherent with my spiritual needs and my spiritual challenges.
Looking forward, let's look in 10 years from now. Which impact would you imagine that you have done into the world from the business?
I imagine that we can regenerate 2% of the tropical dry forest in Colombia. But most important, that we can put this ecosystem in the agenda of Colombia in order to preserve it and to regenerate it. So I imagine to have accomplished our goal to have 400,000 productive trees of sobnut in Colombia. But most important, I know we will have 2% more tropical dry forest here, and this ecosystem will be in the agenda of the Colombian authorities in order to recover this important ecosystem for the Colombia and for the planet. And also about my business, I see us producing soapnut extracts and ingredients for the world, different industries, cosmetics and pharmaceutical. And also, I imagine me starting a new company that will research on our biodiversity in order to understanding and to create more companies as EcoHome from Colombia to the world. That's my dream for the next 10 years.
Might I also add in, Maritza, I imagine that you'll also be a pretty powerful role model for your daughter.
I hope so. I hope so. Do you know, when I was 40 and I was in the middle of the decision, quite difficult. And something that made it easier for me was thinking about my daughter and about the example I want to be for her. And I want to be brave enough to follow my heart. I want her to see me as a woman that could follow her heart no matter what. And I'm doing it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna succeed, but I'm enjoying it. I'm growing a lot. I'm making new friends as Manuela and you, and I'm trying my best to put something from my heart to the planet.
So, what would your advice to somebody who maybe is thinking a little bit like you were when you were 40? What would you suggest that they do as a first step, contribute to the planet as well as their own growth and development?
Two things. First, start from something small. I mean, I don't believe in revolutions. I believe in evolution. And the difference for me is that evolution is made by baby steps. You evolve one step at a time. So start from baby steps. If you think you need to be more connected with the planet, start with something that is small but that puts you in the right track. And then my second advice is just do it. Be brave. This is the one chance you have because this is the life we have. So be brave. Just do it. You have everything inside you to do whatever you want. Try to understand what you are. It is difficult because schools and families doesn't usually teach you how to understand you and your soul, but you can calm yourself, understand yourself, and when you know what you want, just do it. You have everything. You will have the courage inside yourself to do whatever you want.
I wanted to say a small phrase about the topic of the risk. I heard a poem in the last weeks and it really stayed with me, and it's about taking risk. And I want just to read you like the two first phrases. And it's risk must be taken because the greatest hazard of life is to risk nothing. It's a very beautiful poem.
If people want to find out more about the business and you, Maritza, how might they do that on the internet?
My LinkedIn profile and the website of EcoHome.
We'll put links to those in the show notes, Maritza. Only really leaves me to say thank you so much. First of all, Manuela, for bringing along your wonderful, inspiring guest today. And thank you, Maritza, for sharing your vision and your way of looking at the world and us as human beings within it. And it was really interesting and made me think quite differently about what it means to run a business and to contribute to the greater good for everybody, as well as being a business owner. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you, Manu, for being so generous with me and with everyone. And thank you, Sue, for listening to many different people into understanding our message and to put it to the world. Thank you both.
Thank you also to you both. I enjoy a lot our conversation. And Maritza, you always inspires me. So it's so nice to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Well, I hope you found the conversation between Manuela and Maritza stimulating, and it encouraged you to think about what you can do to have a positive impact on the planet. Remember, this podcast is a free-to-listen-to podcast, but it's not free to make. So if you enjoyed it, then show your appreciation and buy me a coffee. That means clicking on the Buy Me a Coffee link on the show notes to make a small donation, and then I can enjoy that coffee when producing the next episode. Your support really encourages us to continue producing quality audio content for our listeners. Next week, my guest is Kobe Williams, whose journey from the depths of gang life to becoming an international symbol of peace is nothing short of remarkable. I hope you can join us then.